Hello again, Year 8. Right, we're going to start today with our collage. So what we'll need for today is the drawing that we did from last lesson, and hopefully by now you've managed to get some decoration drawn onto that as well. You will need, again, a pencil that we're going to use just to help us with proportion and measurement, pencil for drawing, rubber for any mistakes that we make. We'll need a glue stick today, and we'll also need our scissors. All of these should be in your pack, and obviously we will need our coloured paper for our collage, which is also in your pack. Now when you come to do this textiles final piece back at school, you'll be working with felt, and you'll be using a technique called a plique. And a plique is a way of attaching fabrics on top of other fabrics by sewing, and it is a process of layering the fabrics. And our project in Year 8 is layers. Okay. As we're not going to be doing the sewing at the moment, we're going to practice our layering using different coloured paper, the same way that we will with the felt when we start to do our sewing. Right, we're going to work on the eyes today. So the first thing I need to do is try and get the shape and size of the eye correct for a base layer or base colour to go into the eye socket. I'm going to start using my brown paper for the eye socket, and I'm going to take some basic measurements like I showed you last lesson. So we're going to put one end of the pencil at one side of the eye socket at the widest point that I can find, and I'm going to slide my thumbnail up and just pinch onto the pencil when I get just wider, just slightly wider than the eye socket. I'm going to take that to my paper and I'm going to mark that length. Now I've left myself enough room from the top of the paper because obviously I need to mark a height in there as well. So I'm going to turn my pencil that way. I'm going to go again to the widest point in this direction, pinch my pencil just slightly bigger than the eye socket, and I'm going to mark that up on my paper. Now make sure that you've got an equal distance either side of the central point. So if I mark there and there, now if I was to draw a cross from my 2 marks for my length and 2 marks for my height, I should find that I'm pretty much central on my piece of paper. What I need to do now is just mark up the shape of the eye socket. Okay, once I've done that, and I can judge if it's relative to the eye socket on my drawing by just placing it on top and having a look by peeling back to see if things are lined up in pretty much the same place, and that looks pretty good. This base colour at the back, if we look at our example sheet, which we should also have from our folder, you can see that often around the eye socket there's some kind of decoration, whether it's sort of curves like petals or spiky type petals or just different pattern decoration. So what I'm going to do with my eye socket, the first thing I'm going to do is cut it out so that I'm not dealing with lots of paper whilst I'm cutting around my shape. So I've cut out just a rectangle around my shape of my eye. I'm then going to cut around that shape, but I'm also adding a little bit of decoration as I'm cutting. So I'm going slightly wider, slightly outside the line of the eye socket, and I'm just cutting some curved shapes into mine. As I said, they could be spikes, could be triangles. So I'm going for some curved shapes. Okay, once I've done that for the one eye, and let's just see where that sits. Okay, so it covers up my drawing, which is what I wanted it to do. And once I've done that for the one eye, I can take this now and I can use that as a template. So I can take that, put it onto my same coloured paper, and I can now draw around that shape. and I will get a second eye socket to go on my other eye. So I can cut that one out, and I've made for both sides then. Right, once I've got that shape cut out, so that's my decoration around the eye socket, I actually need the eye socket itself. So I'm going to take another coloured piece of paper, I'm going to take a blue piece, and I now need to create a shape that's going to go inside here, which creates the eye socket. So again, I'm going to measure, and I can actually use the measurements I've already got from the shape that I just drew. Draw that shape on, and this time I'm going to cut slightly inside of that line. So unlike the decoration around the eye socket that I've just cut, where I cut slightly outside of that line and added some shape or shapes, I'm now going to cut slightly inside this line, not too much, so I'm still pretty much touching that line, but just on the inside of it rather than the outside. And what I'm left with then is the shape of the actual eye socket itself. And again, let me just show you where that's going to go. That will go on here. And again, I can take that now, I can draw around it on my blue paper and cut out an identical one to go in the other eye socket. Right, so I have now got decoration around the outside of the eye socket, and I've got the blue for the eye socket itself. Now, going back to my reference sheet, I can see that the eyes have flowers, all bar that one, all the others have flowers inside them. So I'm now going to take a different colour paper and I'm going to create a petal. So I'm going to go for this lilac paper. Now what I'll need to judge is where the centre of that blue piece of paper is. Okay, it doesn't have to be absolutely spot on, but to give me some idea of where the middle is, I think I've gone a bit high. I'm going to come down a little bit. Okay, once I've got that, I need to work out how long my petals should be. So I'm going to go for the shortest point, okay, which is in the height, not in the length, and I'm going to give myself a rough measurement. So again, using my pencil, and I'm making sure, you should be able to see that there's blue just beyond my pencil, so I'm making sure there is some blue beyond the length of the petal. I'm going to mark that up as the length of my petal, and then I'm going to draw a petal shape. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to put a decorative edge to my petal, and then I need to cut that out. Just like I've done with my other shapes, once I've cut this out, I can use it as a template. And I think I should probably need about 6 petals per flower. Take off the excess paper, and then go back in and cut my details. Now you'll notice I'm using this inside section of the jaws of my scissors because I've got a bit more control of the scissors with smaller hand movements than if I'm using the ends. Okay. Right, so that's one petal cut. Let's just see where that's going to sit. So that'll go like that. So I need to repeat that now to produce enough petals to fill the whole eye socket. Okay. Last thing I'm going to need is a central part to my flower. I'm going to take, let's go for orange, and I would say I need a circle roughly about 6-7 mil in diameter. Okay, so quite a small circle, so I'm just going to take a little square or rectangle of paper off the corner of my orange paper, and I'm then going to cut out quite a small circle to go in the middle of my flower. I say circle, it doesn't have to be an absolutely perfect circle, we're doing this freehand, but that will then cover up the central part of the flower. Okay, so once we've got everything cut, we need to start sticking down. So if I move those out of the way. Right, I've got some pencil marks on there, so there's two things I could do. I could simply turn it over, and then I can't see my pencil mark, or I could use my rubber and take my pencil mark out. Okay. Take my glue stick, and I'm going to get my glue all the way to the edges and to the edges of these decorated sections as well, so the different curves around the outside of the eye socket, to make sure that that all sticks down nice and flat. I haven't got anything lifting off the page. I've then got my blue section to put down. So that will go on like that. I've then got my petals. Remember I said you probably need about 6 of these. Gets a little bit more fiddly as they get smaller, these pieces. Make sure they come together nicely in the middle, don't leave massive gaps in between them. Last 2. That one's done. Okay, now I've got that little gap in the middle, which I'm going to cover up with my orange central section. And that's one eye done. Okay, what I will do is make sure I get the other one stuck down now, ready for us to move on with our collage next time. Okay, year 8, that is your task for this lesson then, to get both eyes cut, measured up and stuck down. Okay, thanks very much, year 8.